Hey guys, welcome back to the Outside the Lines podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Cohey.
And I'm your co-host, Tia Atkinson.
And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about a couple of things that happened on Friday, as well as things that are coming up in the future for OTL. So stay tuned. So before we get into what is coming up in the future for us, we're going to recap on this past Friday and everything that we did at the Franklin game.
It was Paige at Franklin. Page 1, 28-0, but we weren't there for the game necessarily. We were there for the sections, and Franklin showed out. So the student section leaders for Franklin, Michael, Jerry, and Ben, kept the student section super, super hype the entire game. Like, seriously, the entire game, which is not easy to do.
Especially when you're down 28-0.
True that. Paige didn't necessarily show out, but congrats to them for getting the win.
So we created a TikTok with the Franklin section leaders of them doing the Fruit by the Foot challenge. And if you haven't seen that, that's on our TikTok, and we posted it on our Instagram as well. And I'm just going to say that Jerry won by a milestone.
I didn't expect it either. I'm sorry, Jerry. I didn't expect it.
I did not. I honestly thought Michael was going to win.
Me too. He seems like the type of guy.
He was really amped about it. He's really confident.
He was confident. We also created a kind of like montage video of the student section, similar to the Patriot Country video that I edited a couple weeks ago for the Battle of 840. And we also have a ton of photos from the Franklin photos that we posted. So we had a lot of Franklin stuff this past week.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is the Battle of the Woods game that's coming up.
So the Battle of the Woods game is going to be a very, very big game day, not only because game days are just big in general, but because the Titans are going to be involved in a big way.
Yeah, so we are currently talking with the Titans and coming up with ideas of how they can be involved and stuff that we could do at the game day. So more details about that to come, but so Brentwood, Ravenwood, be ready to show up.
Just like this past week was all Franklin, this week is going to be a lot of Indy. Thursday, what we're doing is we're planning on heading out to Indy, me and Caitlin, and we're going to go ahead and film with the section leaders, which, by the way, the TikTok that has Bradley Hicks in it and the Franklin section leaders is up to about 17,000 views now.
Speaking of Independence, we will be at the Independence versus Centennial game this Friday.
Like past games, I am planning on doing kind of like a montage edit of the Independence student section, which they're pretty hype. I mean, no one's might have the most followers, but from what I've seen online, Indy Nation's student section is very, very crazy. So we'll have to mentally prepare ourselves for that one.
Yeah.
So finally up on the list that we have to talk about is OTL will be starting in OTL Tailgate. Caitlin, do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, so basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to set up our own little tailgate at the beginning of each game. So whatever game we'll be at, which this week is Independence, we'll set up in the parking lot. And basically it's just going to be a time where the section leaders and some students can come over and we can get content of them, and we can go around and Tia can go around and film the tailgate and stuff, and we can film TikToks with the section leaders. So that's it for this week's episode of the Outside the Lines podcast.
Basically, the big things that are coming up this week is filming with Indy at Independence High School on Thursday, and then hanging out with them all day for game day on Friday against Centennial.
Yeah, so stay tuned for next week's episode where we will talk more about what happened at the Independence game, as well as more about Battle of the Woods coming up.